1 minute remaining.
And I smirked. Judge Berry got highly irritated and said the court doesn't have to sit here while I be obnoxious. I did not say one word. I just smiled at her, and she got more irritated and irate. Then Judge Berry told the deputy in her courtroom to tell me to stop looking at her. Of course, Judge Berry denied the motion for a new trial, and her opinion was identical to the prosecution's brief and argument, saying the trial attorneys was not ineffective and my errors was harmless. That's crazy. Pause it. And this gave him a bogus address, and he could not find her. That witness gave an affidavit in which stated newly discovered evidence of my actual innocence and proving that the detective committed perjury at trial and suppressing an exculpatory witness who could have offered me if he had not obstructed justice, denying me a fair trial, violated my constitutional rights, I would have won the trial. And the private investigator, Scott Lewis, when he sent me this affidavit, he says this undermines the prosecution whole case. And he was in support of my innocence. Also, a new witness has come forward with exculpatory evidence that frees me and supports my actual innocence claim. In 2017, I filed another motion for a new trial with newly discovered evidence of actual innocence and the detective committing perjury and suppressing exculpatory evidence and ineffective assistance of counsel in front of Judge Annette Berry. Judge Berry, who said 2 different times that she could be fair with me and refused to recuse herself from my case, read my new exculpatory evidence of actual innocence and denied all my issues without even considering granting me an evidentiary hearing so I could put my witnesses on the stand so she can hear what they had to say. Just like she denied me a hearing on my appeal of right. Judge Berry denied my new exculpatory evidence with an opinion which is identical to the prosecution's briefing argument. Judge Berry said my new evidence was not exculpatory because the witness was not describing somebody different than me, when in actuality, the witness named who the actual person was. So naming somebody is way stronger than giving a description that fits millions of people. And he said he saw who did the shooting. Judge Berry also stated in her opinion, denying my motion for a new trial, the detective did not commit perjury when he lied and told a sitting jury the witness gave him a bogus address and he could not find her for trial. Judge Berry denied all the exculpatory evidence that supported my innocence, but she's not biased against me, so she said. My people held a rally in front of Frank Murphy to support my innocence and had pictures of Judge Berry on posters stating, letting an innocent man go is just not my thing. And Judge Berry has been more biased since, because she was very upset about it. In March of 2020, the Michigan Supreme Court granted me an evidentiary hearing, but COVID came about. Then the Conviction Integrity Unit decided to investigate my case. The CIU investigated my exculpatory evidence and interviewed the witnesses and came to the conclusion to recommend not be released because the detective did lie in my trial. Valerie Newman, the director of the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit, who is an honorable person who comes from Sato, and her team interviewed me in a recorded telephone interview and told me that at the least I should be granted a new trial because the detective in my case lied to the jury about the witness giving him a bogus address and he could not find her for trial. I have a copy of that interview tape, and if you are interested in helping me, you can go further and listen to her tell me, verifying that she did tell me this evidence. Valerie Newman told me she was recommending me a new trial because the jury did not hear that witness testimony because the detective lied and he had all the witness information to locate her. That is the same evidence I presented to Judge Berry, and she claimed in her opinion a denial the detective did not lie about the witness address. Judge Berry could not have been reading the same evidence Valerie Newman read and said the officer lied in my trial. Judge Berry said she could be unbiased with me. When? When do she plan on being unbiased with me? At my funeral? By this time, 3.5 years later, of the CIU having my case, Ken Worthy was denying almost every case Valerie Newman recommended she should be released for errors in their trial. Ken Worthy refused my release, so I guess I died in prison an innocent man. In August of 2023, my case was gave to a prosecutor to fight against me at my evidentiary hearing. On September the 13th, a date was set with the new judge, Paul Cusick, who had my case the last 3.5 years, constantly giving the CIU continuances so they can investigate my case. My new attorney told the judge that day she was ready to hold my evidentiary hearing because she has the evidence to prove my innocence and believe I am innocent. Prosecutor Hubble, who was assigned my case, told Judge Cusick he was not ready and he needed time to prepare for the hearing. So the judge set the hearing date 65 days away, November the 17th. 64 days later, Prosecutor Hubble claimed he was sick all of a sudden the exact day before my hearing and postponed my hearing. Then, why was an email sent to Judge Berry, who's now in family court, telling her about my hearing? And all of a sudden, now Judge Berry, who's claimed to be fair but has ruled against me, every chance she's got will be the judge who holds my hearing on the new evidence she's already denied me about. How can I get a fair hearing with Judge Berry? And I have the emails to show how adamant she is about holding my hearing. Even though I just sat in the county jail for 2 whole months straight, not hearing anything from Judge Berry and just wasting the taxpayers' money because they refused to allow me to present this evidence. Now, after all these years, on November the 17th, we had all of the witnesses lined up to get on the stand. Now, who's to say that these witnesses will be around when it comes time for whenever Judge Berry finds the time to hold my hearing that she already knows the record about? See, this is an unjust delay, which is causing me to not be able to create or present a proper defense because what if something happened and my witnesses disappeared? Where is the fairness, even with the actions of the prosecutor's office denying me relief, when the evidence of wrongdoing in my trial was pointed out to Ken Worthy by her own director of the Integrity Unit? Making sure justice is done should be Ken Worthy's #1 job, especially since Ken Worthy stated she would not hesitate to release a person if wrongdoing was done by the police. Worthy stated this when she released Daryl Chancellor about the police lying in his case. Read the article. I have. Then Worthy's subordinate, Hubble, is playing dirty like the trial prosecutor did at my trial. Why was Prosecutor Hubble afraid to give me a fair hearing in front of Judge Cusick? Why did Prosecutor Hubble claim sick the day before my hearing was to be held? Why was my case sent back to Judge Berry to be held in front of her when it's been in front of Judge Cusick for the last 3.5 years? Why do the Prosecutor Hubble don't want to see justice done when he sees the evidence of wrongdoing with his own 2 eyes and was told this by his comrade that he's not going to be able to win this case? So I guess he needed Judge Berry to come and be his co-partner into messing over me again. I'm not understanding this. Is it because the other 28 exonerees who Ken Worthy let out, or however she let them out, is filing multi-million-dollar lawsuits, and now they're trying to stop the bleeding by putting a Band-Aid on an issue that happened when all of us and all of these people was being wrongfully convicted and their constitutional rights was being trampled over, and there was nobody to check the scales or to balance anything out, and we was just put in prison to die. So now when everything is coming to the light, all of a sudden, they want to close the conviction integrity unit down and come with all these different rules. I thought conviction integrity means something in the conviction was compromised, not actual innocence. This is not the actual innocence clinic. How many different rules and guidelines that you have to be able to give a person what they have coming? And why was Ken Worthy the person who get the last say-so over stuff that she allowed to be done to us over years? That's like asking a fox to guard the hen house. Make it make sense. I was cheated out of a fair trial by the actions of the justice system 18 years ago, and nothing was said or done about it. Now, after 18 years of fighting to not die in prison and prove my innocence, my constitutional rights are being violated by the prosecution and the biased judge, Annette Berry, who refuses to look at my new evidence of actual innocence and Brady violation with unbiased eyes. The highest court of Michigan granted me a hearing, so they must have thought my issues had some merit. The highly respected Valerie Newman, the director of the Conviction Integrity Unit, also thought my issues have merit. If you listen to her call and interview, you will hear her say it out of her own mouth. You should get a trial, at the least, because the officer lied, and the jury did not hear that evidence. Everybody knows a conviction cannot stand on perjured testimony. So why do Judge Berry and Kim Worthy and her subordinate Hubble can't see my issues have merit and grant me relief to preserve the appearance of justice? I should be assigned a different judge if it would be unreasonable to expect the trial judge, given her handling of the matter, to put previously expressed findings out of her mind without substantial difficulty, or the judge, based on objective and reasonable perceptions, has either a serious risk of actual bias impacting the due process rights of a party as enunciated in Carpenter versus Mass, or has failed to adhere to the appearance of impropriety standard set forth in the Canons 2 of the Michigan Code of Judicial Conduct. Judge Berry told me canons are for one's own interpretation, as if the canons do not apply to her, because she's above the law, and that's why she refuses to recuse herself from my case and continue to be biased against an innocent man who's been wrongfully convicted with no evidence to hold my conviction in place. Is Judge Berry still mad at me from 18 years ago when I cussed at her? This is why she's being biased against me? Because there's no evidence to make her feel like I'm guilty. So if there's no evidence to make her feel like I'm guilty, then she must be biased if she's constantly ruling against me when the evidence is in her face. Judge Berry thinks she's above the law with her biased rulings and opinions, just like with her ruling when she sentenced Tyson Army to 15 to 30 years for probation violation because she didn't like the fact that Tyson Army was found not guilty for murder in front of her when he represented himself at the mistrial, where she sided with the prosecution, and Tyson kept telling Judge Berry she is not the prosecutor. Judge Berry got angry and gave him 15 to 30 years for probation violation, which he had probation for one crack rock. Judge Berry thought she was above the law when Michigan Department of Corrections requested for her to change Tyson Army's sentence because it was an illegal sentence, and consistently she refused. After years of fighting Judge Berry's sentence, she still refused, and Tyson Army died in prison of brain cancer. I don't want to die in prison like Tyson Army because Judge Berry refuses to follow the law because she thinks she's above the law. I need to bring awareness to my wrongful conviction and the injustice that's been perpetrated against me for the last 18 years, and more recently also. I've been fighting for my life back. I need all the help and assistance I can get to shine the light on my innocence and I don't die in prison because of my cries of innocence keep falling on the ears of a biased judge who claims she could be fair with me, but her actions contradict her words. Can anybody help me, because I don't have a chance to prove my innocence to Judge Annette Berry, who's insisting I think I'm above the law. I have all the evidence to prove I am innocent. Read more about my case. I am humbly asking for any kind of help I can get to help me gain my freedom. I need an attorney who won't sell me out to a broken system that's designed to cover up their wrongs and to keep us wrongfully convicted by any means necessary. Please read more if you're interested or seriously about helping, because I do not want to die in prison for a crime I did not do and because a biased judge refused to fix her wrongs. I don't know what the problem is. I just want to go home to my family. Why do I have to consistently try to fight when the evidence is there? I thought
you have 1 minute remaining.
I thought it was innocent till proven guilty, but in my case, it's been guilty till proven innocent, and now I've been trying to prove my innocence, and I can't get a pair of unbiased eyes to see this evidence. Everybody else seen it and agreed with it, but the person who would count the judge, she wanted to put the last scoop of dirt on my coffin in my grave. And why? Because I cussed her out, or because somebody told her about me? Because it clearly can't be about the evidence or the lack thereof, because I'm innocent. So what is the problem, Judge Berry? Why do you have it out for me? Can you please tell me what it is? I apologize back then for talking to you and cussing at you out of frustration. What is the problem? I do not know. Please, can somebody help me? Thank you.